Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Rip N Riff here on the Rip N Riff YouTube channel. That over there is at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. It's the first episode. We're already in March here. I know it comes in like what is it? Comes in that's April. That comes in like whatever the saying is. But nonetheless, already March 30th.
I thought you were setting up like a John Rothstein reference where you're like, this is March, because that's what he does every year on Twitter, and that's kind of become his thing. But yeah, this is March. This is a fun time of the year in the sports calendar with the college basketball tournament coming up, the NCAA tournament, and we're inching closer to the spring and nice weather. You'd have no idea if you lived in New York because it was like 15 degrees last night, but we're slowly getting there. We're slowly exiting the winter and entering brighter days ahead.
Yes, we are. We got like you said, March Madness, stretch run of the NBA and NHL regular seasons here. NFL draft talk. It's baseball's kicking off. We're going to cover a lot of those here today on Rip N Riff. We don't have a Rip and Rant today. We're going to use that time to talk a little hockey news, a little Devils, a little Rangers. Also, we're going to be ripping some hockey packs today here. Let's get right to the pack ripping lineup and see what we got. Today's a 4-pack edition of Rip and Riff. So special edition here. And here we go. We got some football, some hockey, and some baseball. I'm going to be handling the football and baseball, as you see on the left. You got the 2024 Absolute Football. We ripped some of those a couple of weeks ago. Looking for that Jaden Daniels rookie. He's got to be happy getting Deebo Samuel there. We can talk about that later. And then also some 1993 Donruss Triple play. You see it's a $2 price tag on the pack. I got to admit, I was just intrigued because the wrap of the pack is pretty cool looking. Very early 90s there with the baseball in space. So excited for that one.
All right, I have two questions about that baseball pack. One, what's a rub-off game card? I guess we'll find out once we get into the pack. And two, rookies, none except for Bill Clinton. Is this the number one Bill Clinton sports cross sports reference in the 90s, or number two behind him being a cheat code in NBA Jam?
So what that is right there is, I always look up for the rookies, and this is like a parallel set that they released. So like it doesn't really have any rookies. It's not like a base set. It's just like a different set they released. But they did put a Bill Clinton card in there, and that's apparently like his rookie card, because like how many people made a Bill Clinton card? But nonetheless, maybe we'll find Arkansas's former governor in here today. See.
Which, by the way, they would never do that in 2025, or with random sports like tops, or the politics are just too polarizing. Where they're not going to put President Trump or President Biden in one of these packs and piss off half the country as a result.
Yeah, because I mean, now if back in the day, if you hated Clinton and you pulled a Clinton card out of this pack, you'd probably have like a little chuckle, like, "Oh, look at this idiot," and throw the card away. Like, and that's all it would be. Nowadays, It would be a whole big thing. So, nonetheless, we got some hockey though. What do you got?
We do. I have one pack of the 2021-2022 Upper Deck Hockey Extended Series. This is left over from when we ripped these packs a few weeks ago, a couple months ago. So we got some of those. And then went to our usual haunt of Toy Wiz and looking for some hockey cards. And they had these hobby ice packs for 2023-2024 with the now injured Jack Hughes on the cover of those. So these weren't cheap. These were like $20 a pack. So, and the box is pretty expensive too. But so I figured we'd pick up a couple packs for the show, kind of spoil yourself and just, try to enjoy it.
I mean, look, you could get a Luke Hughes rookie in that pack. You could certainly get, Will Cooley is not, what you're aiming for there, but you could get a Brock Faber. You could get a Yaroslav Askarov. So there's some decent rookies in those packs. So we'll see what we get there. I'm excited for that one because I haven't really taken a look at those. But you mentioned the Devils and Jack Hughes lost 2-0 in Vegas. But as I was getting ready to do work for the other job that we both do, I had the game on the screen above me, and then I just kind of look up and I see him going off the ice, and not in a like I have to poop, I'll be right back kind of way.
I kind of wish it was.
Unfortunately. Yeah, like there's a certain walk that people have where you're like, he'll be back in 5 minutes. He's just got to do something, That was not that walk. I'm sure you're going to have more about it later today and on allaboutthejersey.com because that's obviously a huge story for the Devils 6 weeks ahead of the playoffs here. But what do you got?
It sucks. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Like, we're talking about A, their best offensive player, if not their best player, period. And B, we're talking about a guy now who's got a history of shoulder and upper body and, those sort of injuries. And like, we don't know exactly what the injury is, but, we've seen this before. We saw his arm dangling. This isn't the first time he's crashed hard into the boards and suffered an injury similar to this. So, it's human nature to sort of like put 2 and 2 together and think worst case scenario. I do think it actually presents a unique opportunity for them to go the Vegas/Tampa route and just LTIR and just go nuts at the trade deadline in 4 days. And they needed to go add a few pieces anyways. And now all of a sudden, you put Jack Hughes' $8 million on LTIR. Now all of a sudden you have some cap space to play with. You can go out and add a few pieces. I don't know how much it's going to really impact things this year, but like, I get some people are like, well, what's the point of making the playoffs? You're just going to lose in the first round to like Washington or Carolina. Like, I don't look at it that way. Like, especially with a younger team and the fact the East is as wide open as it is, the league is as wide open as it is in general. But like, you're still a younger team. Like, you should be wanting to make the playoffs and get those experiences of, playing in the big games, playing in that environment. And like, all right, you might come up short in a playoff series, but you see like, all right, this is what it takes to get to that next level. And like, yeah, it sucks that, Jack Hughes probably suffered a season-ending injury last night. We don't know that with certainty, but like, obviously the team
Doesn't look good.
It didn't look good there, but like, that doesn't mean you just punt on the season 75% of the way in, especially like when you're still in a playoff spot. Like that doesn't make any sense either.
There are things we disagree on. This is not one of them. I agree. Like, we're going to talk about the Rangers in a second. Like, for them to make the playoffs this year is useless. They've made deep playoff runs before, and they are absolutely a team that's going to get backhanded by a Washington or a Carolina in the first round. Or if the Devils are healthy, the Devils would probably give them a quick series too. But I agree with what you said there with the Devils. This team could benefit from, even without Jack Hughes, would benefit getting to the playoffs. And you were looking for center depth anyway, I feel like, at the trade deadline. You wanted to have one more guy in the bottom 6. Now, like you said, if you go the LTIR route,
top 6, yeah.
Now, maybe a Ryan O'Reilly from Nashville is a guy you look at.
Would make a ton of sense.
That's right off the top of my head is somebody you could plug in. Like, obviously he's not Jack Hughes, but like,
right,
to fill the gap to get you through the spring, you could do worse.
Well, here's the other, and here's the other thing. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like, the salary cap's going up, and it's going up to like $95.5 million next year, $104 million the year after that. If these projections that the NHLPA is putting out are accurate, so they're going to have cap space to play with, and most of their core is already signed. They have a lot of players who are signed to multi-year deals, so like the core of the team is more or less in place already. This is all the more reason, like, it's rather than go out and wait until the summer and pay UFA prices when, those guys are going to make even more money. I think it makes those guys who are currently under contract with term remaining even more valuable that they're locked in at a lower number. So yeah, like if I were the Devils, I'd be looking at guys like Ryan O'Reilly, Jared McCann,
Brock Nelson.
Well, Brock Nelson, not so much because he's a pending UFA. And I think the league-wide consensus is like, if he doesn't resign with the Islanders, he's just going to go home to Minnesota. So like, I can understand like not going after him, but like if the Islanders were to sell, maybe a JG Pajot for a third line center would make a lot of sense. And he's a guy who's got another year left on his deal. Maybe you call up the Penguins and offer something for Rickard Rakell. Maybe you call up the Ducks and try to get Ryan Strome as your second/third line center. Like, there's guys out there. It's just really a matter of like, how creative can Tom Fitzgerald get with the deadline now 4 days away. And the last thing I'll say on this, like, when in doubt, I always ask myself, what would a team that's serious about winning a championship do? And I look at a team like Vegas, Tampa, Florida, where all of a sudden, if they just put like $9 million worth of players on LTIR, do you think they would sit on their hands, or do you think they would turn around and go out and add a player? you and I both know the answer to that question. And we literally just saw it over the weekend with the Florida Panthers. They put Matthew Tkachuk on LTIR with the injuries he sustained at the Four Nations, and then they turn around and they trade for Seth Jones. I'm not saying that Seth Jones is even a good trade. I don't even think he's a very good player at this point of his career, to be honest, but that's almost not the point. The point is the Panthers saw an opportunity to add what they perceived was a need because they decided they needed a top 4 right-handed defenseman who can play a lot of tough minutes. And, maybe Seth Jones might not be good at those minutes, but can certainly play that role. And he might be good on a better team. Obviously, he's been on a bad Blackhawks team for the last few years as well. So that's a factor as well. The point is the Panthers didn't sit on their hands. They didn't just say, woe was me, and they threw up their hands and are like, all right, season's over. We don't have Matthew Tkachuk. So I would like to see the Devils take a page from that book and be like, all right, we all of a sudden we have 11 million in LTIR to play with, because they also have Siegenthaler on LTIR as well. All right, here's Ryan O'Reilly and Jared McCann. Maybe we'll still be a one and done in the playoffs this year, but we'll have those guys under contract next year as well. And we'll, sort of get out in front of the summer shopping by filling those needs now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons for the Devil. I mean, it's with all the rumors with, Mikko Rantanen possibly being on the move again, it's a shame you don't really need to add on the wing or would devote resources to that, especially now with the need for center. But that would be an interesting one to add to the mix if you could get him to sign a long-term deal. But yeah, it's, there's Tom Fitzgerald has to still try and act like he's going for it this year, even if realistically, okay, no Jack Hughes, it's going to be really tough to make a deep run. Like you said, make moves that aren't necessarily for this year, but that also have benefits for next year and beyond. And now maybe you are at the top of the Metro next year. Now, a team that's not at the top of the Metro and is clearly not going to the playoffs at this point is the New York Rangers. They are, moving guys. There's, clearly selling, soft sell. They're not totally gutting the roster, but whatever. Riley Smith was benched, against Nashville last night, for roster-related reasons. They make the deal where they send, they bring in Calvin DeHaan and Juuso Parssinen, sending out Ryan Lindgren and Jimmy Vesey. I love that for Colorado because they can use any cheap forward depth they can get, and Vesey will help with that. I'm okay with what Chris Drury's here because, you said before about, hey, the Devils aren't going to go deep, so why even try to make the playoffs? Doesn't make sense for them. For the Rangers, it doesn't make sense to try and get in this year. They've got a small window. Maybe they can get one more good kick at the can next year. Look ahead to that, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to just get whatever picks they can for whatever parts they can send out and see what they do in the offseason.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Rangers have traded a lot of futures over the last few years in their pursuit of, trying to get over the hump, and obviously they've come up short. They're short their first this year because of the JT Miller trade, correct? I think that's lottery protected or whatever the protections are on that, but they need to recoup some of the other picks that they've traded away, and they have to make some tough decisions on some guys who've been there for a while. Like Ryan Lindgren's a guy who's been there for, last 5 or 6 years, and he's a pending UFA, and they had to make a decision whether or not they wanted to pay him long term. I think they made the right decision by moving on. I don't think Ryan Lindgren's very good, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries as well. So I have no issue with that. Obviously, they moved on from Capo Caco. They've moved on from Philip Hedl was part of the JT Miller trade. They made the Trouba trade earlier this season. Like you mentioned, Riley Smith, another pending UFA there. So they'll probably take their 3rd round pick for him and move on or whatever they can get for him. So I think it's a smart approach by the Rangers. Enter the offseason with as much cap space and assets as you have and sort of retool the roster for next year. So now, I mean, the classic Ranger move would be, all right, well, we got 15 million to burn here, Mikko Rantanen, have all of it. And that would be the classic Ranger move. But the smart move would probably be to take those draft picks and take that 15 million and spread it to as many players as you can and just build a deeper roster. But so we'll see what they ultimately wind up doing.
So no 1st round pick this year, but they do have a pick in every round, at least one in every round. But the next 2 years, they don't have their 2nd or 4th. So yeah, replenishing some of that draft capital that they've burned to try and make the runs the last couple of years, 2 out of the last 3 years. Time to replenish that a little bit. So, we'll see what they get for Riley Smith. And yeah, I mean, one of the I guess silver linings out of this season is that Mika Zibanejad has found new life on the wing. And yeah, now you have Trocheck and JT Miller at center. We'll see what happens with Carson in, but yeah, now that they need some help down the middle again after that was something that they thought they kind of had covered initially.
Yeah, that's a team that, if they're going to play Zibanejad on the wing, they're going to have to come up with a third line center solution, because you can get by with Miller and Trocheck as your 1-2, but you need a little more down the middle. And I feel like the Rangers have had a pretty good fourth line all year. Like guys like Carrick and Edstrom before he got hurt. I feel like those guys were doing a pretty good job. So,
and it's amazing. And honestly, Matt Rempe, when he's not going out there and getting in a fight within first 7 seconds of a shift, when he's actually playing, like he's doing, like he's having an impact. Like against Nashville last night, he's down low, he's creating havoc, he's getting into little scrums after the whistle, playing up to the line. That's what we want. We want that. We just don't want, occasionally you got to fight. That's fine. Just like, you're useless when you're only out there for 3 to 6 minutes a night if you're lucky. Start playing that way, you get, more consistently in that 10 to 12 range. And now you're having an impact every night. So, like you said, bottom six.
Nice of him to carve out time between suspensions to have an impact.
That's good for him. That's all I'm saying is not go out there and not fight. We want more of what you do. And when you take yourself off the ice so much, it's tough to have that kind of impact. So, NHL trade deadlines this week. We already saw some moves, like you said. Seth Jones going to Florida. I think. Good move for the Panthers. They as good as the blue line's been for them, they still had to replace that void left by Brandon Montour. That does that to a certain degree. We're going to see other things happen this week. I just hope for Christopher Merez's sake, who's planning on doing like a 6-hour NHL trade deadline stream, that there's still stuff to talk about come Friday, because we've seen that happen in the last couple of years where teams want to get a jump. And then, by the time the actual day of the deadline gets around, there's like we'll say, I don't want to say scraps left at the buffet table, but it's, stuff that's been under the heat lamps for a little while.
The problem with the NHL trade deadline is that nobody has any cap space. So everybody at this point is now waiting until the last minute to do anything. And, Tom Fitzgerald, I'll just use him as an example. He needs to make a trade like a month ago, and he hasn't done it. And now he's got this whole Jack Hughes thing to sort of deal with on top of it, and that obviously puts a wrinkle in whatever their specific plans are. But just generally speaking, teams just don't have any space to operate, and I would recommend not spending every last penny to the cap if you aren't a playoff contending team. But they don't seem to necessarily think that, and if they got $3 million to burn on a Cody Ceci, they're going to do it. So it kind of is what it is.
And there you go. And I think that's a nice segue here to get some hockey packs going. Which one are you ripping there?
I'm going to do the 2021 first.
I agree, because that's like the appetizer to the main course, which is going to be the 2023-24 Upper Deck Ice. So let's get ripping here.
And we're not going to have a whole lot of interesting players in this pack if we're starting with Greg Paterno or Paterno, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah, I remember him, depth player. A guy that gets moved at the deadline for future considerations.
Yep. A guy who literally just got moved, who you mentioned, Jimmy VC here from that year he was on the Devils.
I like that move for Colorado as a team that has no cap space. A guy like VC can play on their third line and have an impact. So that's a good move by Colorado. That Central Division's a gauntlet, by the way, with Winnipeg and Dallas and Minnesota.
Yep. And the Devils are going to see Winnipeg a few times down the stretch here. Freddie Anderson here with the Carolina Hurricanes. He's still with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, it's him and Kochikov. And, as a duo, if, that keeps Freddie Anderson healthy, good for them, but can never trust his health.
This is a goalie heavy pack, so we're going to cycle through a few of them. Braden Holtby, now retired, but here with the year he was with the Dallas Stars.
One of the taller goalies of all time.
Philip Grubauer, who just got recalled by the Kraken the other day.
Hope some time with Coachella helped him out a little bit, because Joey Decourt is fine, but they can use a second goaltender there. They don't have anybody really ready to go as a backup.
Marc-Andre Fleury, who is on the 18th hole of his career at this point. He's certainly winding down. He'll get one last playoff run here with the Minnesota Wild, so we'll see how that works out. excuse me, Gustav Forsling with the Florida Panthers. We were mentioning him, probably one of the more underrated players in the league. He's certainly been sensational since he's gotten to Florida.
I just want to point out that ever since you said something positive about the Rangers, you've had indigestion. So maybe that tells you to not speak so kindly about them in the future.
All right. Well, I'll follow that up with one of my least favorite Rangers of all time here with the Carolina Hurricanes, Tony DeAngelo.
Guy always finds a way back. No,
he's back into the show.
Listen, he's an NHL caliber defenseman. And if you're a team like the Islanders, he's an NHL caliber defenseman.
What does that say about the Islanders? I mean,
he was playing well when he first got there. I know he's kind of cooled off, but
the Islanders are great because they're not going to sell, even though everything is telling you that they should. And their fans are going to hate everything about it so much. And I just, as someone who's I don't want to say unbiased observer because, obviously they're in the division, so I'm paying some attention to them. But, I certainly love the fact that the Islanders seem to be directionless.
Yeah, the ship's just kind of out there going with the current and not really aiming anywhere right now. But, that's what happens when, you got an aging Lou Lamoriello running the team. And
all right. These cards are gorgeous, and spoiler alert, there's a thick boy in here. It looks like we might have a patch card in here, so we'll get to that momentarily. But we got Philip Gustafson with the Minnesota Wild, so now we got both Wild goaltenders. Love the design of these cards.
Nice segue from one to the other. And listen, Minnesota, you got to give them props because they've been without Kaprizov for a couple of stretches this year, and they've maintained that position in the second spot in the Central Division. That's not easy to do.
Oh, so it's interesting. A team loses their best player, and they manage to go on and win a whole bunch of games, despite the fact they lose their best player, and despite the fact that they have like $14 million in dead cap money between two guys who don't play for them anymore.
And still manage to get Gustav Nyquist, which is a solid player as a trade deadline rental.
Yeah, I mean, I thought a second was a little bit of an overpay for him, but
on that roster, he works.
But yeah, that's very interesting. It'd be nice if my hockey team could do that after losing their best player. But that's neither here nor there. Mitch Marner with the Toronto Maple Leafs probably won't get traded at the deadline. We'll see where he winds up signing this offseason. I would guess probably back in Toronto, but we'll ultimately see how that plays out.
We sure have come a long way from the Marner to Vegas rumors.
We certainly have. Mario Ferraro will probably be moved at the deadline. Sharks defenseman can play a lot of tough minutes.
Also has another year left on his contract, so you're not just getting him for this year, you're getting him for next year too.
Yep, he is not a rental, so we like that. Here's a player who might get traded at some point. Maybe not at the deadline, but he might get traded. Trevor Zegras, very interesting player. Love the look of this card. So there's that first and foremost, but yeah, he's a player who I don't know. It seems like his time in Anaheim is kind of winding down. I question whether or not he's a playoff style player. He to me screams soft skill guy that generally gets exposed in tougher matchups like that. But like he also hasn't really played a whole lot of big games in Anaheim, and I question the direction Anaheim is taking in general with some of the moves they've made. Like for example, last week when they traded they took on the Ville Husso contract for nothing. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you taking on like $3 million in cap space for nothing?
And the thing is, like, I get what you're trying to do. You're going to move Gibson, so now you have Dostal and then Husso to finish out the year, and Dostal's going to be the guy. But yeah, I mean, like I know that you don't love what Mike Greer is doing sometimes, but at least there is a direction with what he's trying to accomplish. But yeah, the teams like Anaheim and the Islanders and the other direction, it's like, what? Doesn't seem like there's a true plan in place.
All right, I have some good news and I have some bad news.
Okay.
The good news is we got 2 more cards in this pack, and then I have a whole other pack to get to. The bad news is I was apparently mistaken. This isn't actually a patch card. It's just like a cardboard like slab that they put in.
Yeah, they put those in sometimes.
Yeah. I thought when I looked at it, I thought it was a patch. So my mistake there. I'm like peeling away at it just to like confirm it's not a patch card. But yeah, that's disappointing. I thought for a second we actually got like a really cool pull there. But we'll finish this pack with Ridley Gregg rookie card here with the Ottawa Senators.
They're an interesting team because, I mean, yeah, they were struggling recently, but they were also without, three of their top players with Brady Tkachuk, Shane Pinto, and Josh Norris, who have all come back. So they should pick up where they left off when they were healthy.
Yep. And last but not least, Pyotr Kochekov with the Carolina Hurricanes. So now we got the Hurricanes tandem as well, in addition to the Wild.
Let's see if we might be able to get one more. I mean, let's see what happens with this last pack. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll probably get Joey Decord in this pack, and we'll complete that one too.
And then
inadvertently,
we'll have 10%, almost 10% of the league's goalie tandems.
It would appear so. All right, so we have. Let's start this pack. Here's a player who won't be traded, most likely. Seattle Kraken captain Jordan Eberle, who's basically been injured all year.
Yeah, he's not probably going in there. But by the way, just to go to the look of the cards, those are very sharp cards. I love the layout and everything. It's really, if you tell me to find something I don't like on them, I don't know if I have an answer for that.
I would say if there's one thing I don't like about them is that they're all in this horizontal layout.
Okay.
And I would prefer like a vertical layout, but
yeah,
that's neither here nor there. Mikko Rantanen, obviously pre-trade with the Avalanche here, so I think the Canes will probably hold on to him through the deadline. They've sort of pot committed themselves, so we'll see what happens there.
And I understand people like, oh, but you give up all that and you don't sign them long term. It's like, listen, Carolina's trying to win a cup, and it's like they've got a good team. They can compete for a while, but I mean, if Rantanen helps you get there this year and he walks, okay, whatever. You still have a parade this year.
Yep. Let's see. Chandler Stevenson, probably the worst contract in the league right now because he's been not very good with the Seattle Kraken, but he's certainly an NHL player.
At a cheaper contract, he's a good player. He's a center you want in your bottom six, wins faceoffs, does all that stuff, but not what he's getting, not what he's making.
No, not at 7.5 or whatever he's making. Gabe Vilardi here with the Winnipeg Jets. What a trade for the Jets, getting like Gabe Vilardi and some of the other pieces they got in that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade.
Yeah.
An Aiden McDonough rookie card with the Vancouver Canucks. I never heard of Aiden McDonough, so let's see if there's any relationship to Ryan McDonough there. That'd be neat.
It's a different spelling of the last name, but they may as well be brothers.
And this is the most unique card I think I've ever pulled in any pack, just because of the shape of it.
You got the Bill Clinton card?
No, I don't have the Bill Clinton card. We have a Depth of Winter Adam Ginning rookie card from the Philadelphia Flyers that for some reason is shaped like a triangle or like a pizza slice.
Wow, that is actually kind of cool.
Have you ever seen a card like this that's shaped like that's shaped like this? I have not.
Not like a true like triangle like that. No, like that's really cool. It's a Depth of Winter triangle die cut.
Yeah, so I would have preferred it with a more notable player than Adam Ginning, but it's still a unique card to pull. So this will spoiler. This will be my nominee for pull of the day.
Yeah, that could also like you can make it like as part of like a Christmas display as well. It would be really nice.
Yeah, just punch a hole in it and hang it from the tree.
Yeah, a tree on a tree.
All right, so that's it. That's all I got for the rookie cards.
You were playing with the little like the cardboard inserts there. It made me think you had a little bit more there. So let's go football. There's been some news this week. Matthew Stafford staying in Los Angeles. Deebo Samuel traded from the Niners to the Commanders. Now they're talking about maybe trading Ayuk. There was one other thing I'm missing this week that happened, but I know there's Rodgers speculation to Giants, and it's
God no.
No.
God no. Oh God no. Did you see the tweet I sent when that Rodgers report came out?
No, I did not.
I'm not going to repeat it, but it would involve shoving a pencil in a very specific place that would be most unpleasant.
Oh, okay.
And how I would rather do that than watch Aaron Rodgers quarterback my team.
Well, I mean, I hope that just like with the Jake Evans eating a hat bet, I hope you don't have to do that either. Let's
Well, I
get,
didn't say it was a bet. I just said I'd rather do it than watch Aaron Rodgers play quarterback
well,
for my team.
you might have to if he's the quarterback. Well, I'm going to hold you to that.
And Jake Evans is not getting a first round pick. I feel fairly certain of that. It sounds like the Canucks are struggling to get a second round pick for him.
Canadians.
That's what I meant. What did I say?
So but they're both colloquial terms for the Canadian people. All right, so we start off this pack here. Interesting little combo out of the pack. So a couple of number 17s. We got Garrett Wilson, who, I'm glad we've saved this relationship with Wilson where he doesn't totally want out of town because of that guy, Devontae Adams.
That's really interesting that those are the first two cards that you pulled out of that pack. And yeah, there's obviously the report this week that the Jets were probably going to move on from Devontae Adams, which I don't think anyone would be surprised by. But that's also classic Jets, right? Like you trade the draft pick for Devontae Adams to placate Aaron Rodgers, and you get a whole 8 games out of him, and then you're like, all right, we're just going to cut you now.
I mean, I remember my neighbor asking me in the middle of seasons, like, how do you feel about the Jets making like these moves with Adams to add, to basically just to make Rodgers happy? And I'm like, listen, at this point, you're so committed to Rodgers, just whatever, just do what you got to do, and we'll deal with the mess in the offseason. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the mess in the offseason. Very receiver heavy pack to start here. We've got a Romeo Dubes Packer card there. There's all base so far.
Yeah, we'll see if he winds up getting traded to Seattle for DK Metcalf. My guess is probably not, because that seemed like that was an erroneous report.
Yeah, I mean, what a trade if it happens, but I don't know if I see Seattle doing that. Jordan Addison, another guy who's definitely not going to be on the move anytime soon for the Vikings.
No, Jordan Addison is the perfect number 2 receiver for that offense with Justin Jefferson.
And then next here we got Will Levis with the Titans. Can't imagine he's ever going to get a real crack to start in the NFL again, short of injury to the person in front of him on the depth chart.
Yeah, if he's on the Titans next year, he'll be the backup. If he's on any other team, he'll most likely be the backup as well. But yeah, I guess he could carve out a whole little Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Desmond Ridder type journeyman backup spot starter career, I suppose. But like, Will Levis stinks. Fumbles too much, holds on to the ball too long, can't push the ball down the field. It is what it is.
Can't do it. We got Dalton Kincaid here from the Buffalo Bills. Going to be interesting to see how things go with them next year. It's tough to really handicap and preview the next NFL season before free agency, before the draft, all that stuff takes a little time. But I like Buffalo a lot for to maybe get finally over the hump next year.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
All right, what do we got here? All right, we got a decent end to this pack here, so we'll move it along here. We got Cameron Kitchens rookie card here from the Rams. They keep Stafford around, so they're going to try and take over the NFC West again. See how that goes with Arizona on the rise, Seattle playing better. Talk a little bit about the Niners here in a minute. We've got Amarius Mims rookie card here, Bengals offensive lineman. Nothing too exciting there. This is a better one. Xavier Leger from the Carolina Panthers. Almost said the Hurricanes there. He started to come on in the second half last year. Maybe some more chemistry in the offseason with Bryce Young, and those two can really light it up this year.
The Luke Hughes depth of winter card is on eBay for $5. That is an auto buy.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, if you need a second to go complete that purchase, you do that.
Oh no, I'm on top of it right now. I just gotta remember to sign in and check out. You may continue. I'm sorry, I'm like half listening to you, but we have business to attend to right now.
You do have a business to attend to, so we got 2 more cards in this pack, and like the way it's finishing makes me want to maybe dig another pack out of the closet and open them up. We start here with a Brock Purdy draft diamonds set there. There we go. So, part of the reason the Niners making this move to maybe sign Purdy to an extension, you okay with him being your long-term quarterback? Has he done enough?
We've had the Brock Purdy conversation before. Brock Purdy is a guy who, when everything around him is perfect, when he has an all-pro left tackle, an all-pro running back, an all-pro tight end, 2 stud wide receivers, and Kyle Shanahan calling plays for him, Yeah, everything looks great, and he certainly looks like a guy who could play the part. When all of a sudden he's missing some of those pieces, he has a year like he has last year, where he takes a step back, and you question whether or not you want that guy as your quarterback. I think Brock Purdy is fine. I think Brock Purdy is a guy I would not pay $50 million a year for at the quarterback position, or 55, or whatever the going rate is for a franchise quarterback. Like, if I were the 49ers, I would probably look to trade and reset at the quarterback position, but I don't know how realistic that is with the age that they have on their roster. They might be sort of stuck here with Brock Purdy.
And the other thing too is, if the Niners had actually won a Super Bowl too, there would be probably more of a leash. But at some point, like, hey, if it's not happening, like, there's already been rumblings about what, Shanahan's future here in the Bay Area. So see what goes on with San Francisco there, and the Brandon Ayuk trade rumors as well. Now, we had a Ram earlier in the pack. We've got an autograph rookie here, and maybe a potential breakout running back in 2025, the way Sean McVay handles his running backs. There's Blake Corum, autograph rookie.
Oh, that's nice. It's not often you get the autograph cards in the pack, so that's pretty cool there. He's got work to do to sort of overtake Kyron Williams, who I would say is pretty entrenched as the Rams' go-to running back. But yeah, I don't see why Blake Corum can't carve out an NFL career for himself. Like, Blake Corum was really good at college. Like, I get that's not the be all and end all necessarily. There's a lot of good college players who don't turn out to do anything at the pros, but like, I feel like Blake Corum's a good short yardage back. He should be able to carve out a niche for himself.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know this year he didn't get as much of an opportunity, but the way McVay is with the running backs, he can sometimes be very erratic with usage. So we're gonna get this Corum autographed rookie right in a top loader. Make sure it's taken care of. There we go. We believe in always using protection here on Rip N Riff.
Oh yeah, definitely always use prayer. You don't want to raw dog it.
No, because then that's how things get chafed and cornered and all that stuff. You don't want that.
No, obviously you don't.
All right, so we're gonna end on a high note with that pack. Now we're gonna go to baseball here. Let me just get these guys out of the way. We're gonna do a little 93 Donruss Triple play here, as we hope to get that Bill Clinton card. That would be a first, getting a presidential card here on Rip N Riff. See, go open nice and easy. That's what we like. I like the looks of these cards. These are very like early to mid 90s, like screamed at them. Also, again, was a sucker for the pack. You give me a pack that looks like that, I'm going to buy it every time.
Yeah. After you go through this pack, I want to talk more about this depth of winner card just scrolling through eBay, because it's really interesting. I think I might have gotten the single worst depth of winner card.
You might have. I mean, based on the player. So here's the you said the game piece here. Oh, that's what this is. It's like literally a scorecard here. Each game is 3 innings. Each player gets 3 outs per inning. Scratch any of the boxes below to one at a time to reveal if you got a hit or not. So it's like one of those games. I'd actually play that on the air with you if we were in the same room.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is a little bit of a fool's errand to deal with me all the way on the other side of the country, and I can barely even see that card anyways. So
Phillies versus Cardinals, my friend. Action baseball.
Nice.
With that John Kruk. Yeah, look, that's Krucky right there.
Shout out to Kruk.
Good old John Kruk. A lot of funny stories on there. All right, so let's go through here.
By the way, since you mentioned John Kruk, I want to, and the Phillies and all that, absolute disgrace by Rob Manfred with the story out this weekend about how now they're considering a Pete Rose reinstatement for Major League Baseball. An absolute disgrace that they're considering this now that the guy's dead.
Yeah,
and the guy can't have his day in Cooperstown. Like, what? Just horrendous.
And I said that was going to happen. I'm like, they're going to make an example out of him, but like a year after he dies, they're going to be like, all right, you're in. And it's like, well, what's the point now? Because listen, whether what he did was right or wrong, that man loved baseball. Loved baseball. That was his life, his career. He's one of the best players of all time. For him to not be in the Hall of Fame is a joke. But like to just like it would have meant the world for him to, even if he got it on his deathbed a day before he died, would have meant the world. Now what? Now you're doing what? So you can save face and look good and be like, oh, we let him in? Freaking joke.
And like I get Pete Rose's family is behind the push to get him reinstated, but like if I were associated with Pete Rose and like baseball was trying to do that at that point, I would tell baseball to go to hell.
It's like, yeah, where were you 2-3 years ago? Like, come on now. Yeah. Anyway, let's do some baseball cards here. We start with the and I like to look at these cards. It's simple, but it looks nice. We got a Roberto Alomar triple play there with the Toronto Blue Jays, part of those World Series teams in 91 and 92.
Very nice.
We got Andy Van Slyke, Pittsburgh Pirates. One of their last good players. It's sad as that is to say. Keep your fireworks away from this man, Mr. Vince Coleman.
Oh, jeez.
You're
not wrong.
That's not like hearsay. We all know what happened. He threw fireworks at fans. Like, that's what you're known for. You were a very fast baseball player, good hitter, good base stealer. You threw fireworks at fans. That's
imagine if somebody did that in 2025.
Who would be the athlete that would be? I mean, like Antonio Brown, if he was still active. Like, who would be the athlete that you would think would do it?
Ron Artest.
I feel like once pre-Meta World Peace, yes, not after he changed his name, because then after that it was like the other way. He would have the fireworks thrown at him. He would turn the other cheek.
I don't know. I'd have to think more about it. I feel like Kevin Durant throws verbal fireworks at everybody on Twitter.
Yes, I will say he's very good at the verbal fireworks. If you got any suggestions on who should be the most likely to throw a firework, shoot us an email, ripnriff@gmail.com. Love to find that out. We've got one of the more unfortunate names for baseball, if you get picked on in 6th grade, Tim Belcher.
There's a lot worse baseball names than that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you're a burper. That's all you are. He was a good pitcher, though, in his day. And speaking of good pitchers from the 90s, Chuck Finley here with the California Angels. Pretty bad that their peak was basically the movie Angels in the Outfield with Danny Glover. That was the peak for the franchise in their existence.
It wasn't the Rally Monkey and then win the World Series a few years later?
No, it was definitely the movie, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to go with that. Doug Jones here with the Astros and those sharp old uniforms there with the multicolored shoulder stripes.
I got to give this pack a lot of credit. There's a lot of I don't want to say heavy hitters, but like I've recognized every player that's come out so far.
Another guy that I will get this checklist out of the way there, which is that on there. It looks like Alvaro Espinosa is who that looks like. You remember him? Yankees, but on the Indians, I have no idea who that is. Doesn't even say.
Barely recall him, but
all right. Here we got Kevin Appier with the Kansas City Royals. Good pitcher in his day. We've got one of the Boone brothers, definitely one you like more than the one that's the Yankees manager, just because you can't stand them, is Brett Boone.
Brett Boone, big in the podcast world right now.
There is. But listen, hey, the Boone family's baseball royalty. We got three good. We'll close the pack here with 3 players here. We can start with Ray Lankford, Cincinnati Cardinals. Good player, does not throw fireworks at people. So shout out to Ray for not. I guess that would be menace. I don't know what the criminal charge would be there, but nonetheless, don't throw fireworks, kids, at other people.
Criminal mischief.
Criminal mischief, that'd be a good one. 4th of July is not that far away. Now we close with 2 guys here. Kirby Puckett, legend on the field, maybe not so much off the field.
The late, maybe not so great. Kirby Puckett, although he was a Hall of Famer, so there's that. Although we've done the whole Kirby Puckett is in the Hall of Fame, but Don Mattingly isn't thing to death. So I'm not gonna continue to beat that dead horse.
One thing I will say that annoys me with sports fans sometimes is like when somebody loves somebody so much as a player that like they ignore like things that like Kirby Puckett did off the field, and it's like, nah, man, like there's certain things that that gets tied in. I don't care what he did in the 91 World Series. I don't care. He's one of the Twins franchise best players. Turns out he was a scumbag off the field. So, if you want to keep idolizing and lionizing a scumbag, good for you. And we close the pack here with Edgar Martinez, one of the better hitters and DHs of all time.
This is a really strong pack. So nice job with that one.
Yeah, then this was just it might be another one. I may have to go back to the card shop down in Roanoke Park and I get some Donruss Triple Play 93 there. Not going to be a high value pack, but fun to rip nonetheless. So there we go. If you want to go back, go ahead.
So the depth of winter cards. I'm scrolling through them on eBay. A lot of heavy hitters in this whole depth of winter thing. a lot of the big names you expect. Some big name rookies like Leo Carlson and Will Cooley. There's a Connor Bedard one that's $25 that I'm actually considering right now.
Oh,
and then the star players as well. So like you got your Crosbys, your McDavids, your Ovechkins, Matthew Tkachuk, all those sort of guys, and I got Adam Ginning.
you literally, I tell me if there's you go through the list, find me a worse player than that. You got literally the worst. Like, why did they even make one for him?
I could find a worse player, like Luke Phillip with the Blackhawks. I guess might be worse. Let's see. There's Clayton Keller. He's a good player. Ovechkin, Matthew Kessel rookie card. Matt Kessel hasn't really done a whole lot. Let's see. Matthew Nyes, Jacob Pelletier, who just got traded in the he was in the Flyers Flames trade, the one that sent those guys to
Morgan
Calgary.
Frost.
Yeah, Morgan Frost. I was drawing a blank. I wanted to say Konechny, but I knew that wasn't right. Joel Farabee was the guy I was thinking of. Askarov, Matthew Poitras. So there's a Dustin Wolf. Walker Duehr might be a worse player, maybe. I don't know. I mean, we're sort of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. But the point is, somehow I managed to pull the worst one. Like, there's an Adam Fantilli rookie card here. Like, all these nice rookie cards, and I get Adam Ginning.
Maybe you'll meet him one day. Maybe you'll like run into him at like a poker game or something. Be like, I got a story for you. So we got pulls of the day here. I got 3 good ones there. Got the Brock Purdy draft diamonds, the Xavier Leger rookie, but it's clearly going to be the Blake Corum or autograph rookie card. That's where it's at right here.
Yeah, my nominee is just because of the uniqueness of the card would be the Adam Ginning card, but like I don't think I can compete with an autograph card. Like if this was a more notable player, I would go more to bat for it, but I just can't.
No, I mean I would have to talk some sense into it at that point, and I appreciate your understanding. So there we go. So that's going to do it for the card ripping portion of the show today. It's time to get to the starting lineup figure 5. Now, of course, Jared's going to have 5 questions to figure out who is in the box. Today is a hockey player, and he's definitely somebody that if you pulled his card in that triangle die cut, you'd be way more excited than Adam Ginning. So, without that, I guess let's get going here. Let's get the figure 5 going here. You got 5 questions, and
it's a rookie that I would pull.
It's not he's any card of him. It's the guy you recognize.
Right. Since you framed the question that way, did this player ever play for the New Jersey Devils?
No.
Okay.
He's just a good hockey player. No,
good hockey player. All right, so we get that out of the way. I'm not going to throw this question away. Ask him this one, so I'm not going to do that. Is this player a Stanley Cup champion?
Yes, got it at the end of his career.
Is this player in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
He sure is.
He sure is. Did this player win his championship with the Colorado Avalanche?
I think somebody may have figured this out. Yes.
Yeah, it's Ray Bourque.
Yeah, we're unboxing one today. Good job. There we go. Just a Raymond Bourque, not just even a Raymond Bourque, but the Canadian version, Premier Choi starting lineup, because it's the first year edition, 1993. First year they came out with those. So I guess that's first year Premier Choi. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about that one because I came at the expense of the Devils in that series. So like, happy he got his ring. Not happy the way it happened.
The whole country was rooting against the Devils that series. There was nobody that was rooting for the Devils except Devils fans. Everybody wanted. I remember where I watched that. I watched that in the basement of my friend Frank Morin's house. It was like a party going on. Nobody wanted to watch Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. I'm like, well, I'm going downstairs and I'm watching Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. By the way, 5-time Norris winner, 19-time All-Star. And if you want to feel old, he won the Rookie of the Year in 1979-80 season. Call him the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he won the Rookie of the Year 3 years before I was born. So
Correct.
yeah, he's old, and now I'm old.
His sons got some playing time in the NHL too, but they never really amounted to much. So many Borks, I forget which ones were actually his kids. I thought that was a bend. It was just the way the visor is there, but it almost looks like a bend in the card. And then we got Raymond Bork Hitman card there. So there you go. A couple of cards that come with the pack. That was back when they would do their own cards. Very simple Bruins look here, all white head to toe. Certainly nothing wrong with that. There we go. Got Mr. Bork there. Not necessarily the same pose as the card, but, hey, we don't always get that. And there he is on the back, number 77. Kudos for him to take the 77 after we all know the story with Phil Esposito. They retired his number. Bork was wearing 7 at the time, said he don't feel right, so he took 77 on the night. Phil Esposito 7 went up to the rafters. So just all around good guy.
The question I was going to burn was after last week's debacle, was it Mark Messier? I thought there was a small chance that you were going to go back to back to try to trip me up.
See, I never thought about doing that. As going back, doing this, recycling the same one in the same week, the week later. Now you've planted that seed in my head, so I am going to absolutely do that. I'm not going to do it soon. It's like it's like the Marino fake spike. Once you run that play, you can't run that play for like another season and a half. So I'll have to wait to do the repeat at a certain. Yeah. But Ray Bork going to be joining the starting lineup studio audience. Who's in it this week? You know what? I was trying to complete my display, so I opened up a couple that we've tried to open in the past. The 93 Sean Kemp and the 94 Chris Mullen there. So I said, let's do a West Coast Hoops California love kind of thing here. So yeah, the 1993 Sean Kemp, 1992 Tim Hardaway, 96 Mitch Richmond there with the Kings, and a 94 Chris Mullen. Also, you get the old Warriors trio of Run TMC, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullen. So little West Coast hopes love there.
I'm just glad that I don't have to try to guess Chris Mullen or Sean Kemp again, because I would probably fail miserably.
If I were you, I would probably be like jotting down some of these players that come up so you can go back and be like, pulled, not pulled. Might be something to consider.
Yeah, I could do that if I were smart, but I'm not going to do that.
And it also requires effort, which is, not always something we want to put in to something so unimportant like the figure 5, but it's important to us in our hearts. Now, big trade deadline week this year. We already talked about the Jack Hughes news. Go to allaboutthejersey.com. Jared will be all over it there. What do we got with YouTube poker?
I got 3 weeks worth of shorts that are produced and scheduled. So there's that. I'm actually out in front of it for a change. I do need to figure out the next wave of shorts I'm going to wind up doing. So I guess stay tuned there.
Did we get new material over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to go through and pull it yet, but Saturday's game was very good to me, so I can't complain there.
Very nice. All right, that's what we like to hear. YouTube at Jared Moore Poker for all that great content there from Jared's games that he plays in. Total Hockey Now on Thursday is going to be an NHL Trade Deadline preview, whatever's left at that point. We'll talk about the big trades that's happened, preview who's left and where we think they're going to go for the Friday afternoon deadline. And also Friday afternoon during the deadline, Slapshot Podcast at Slapshot Podcast, the live trade deadline coverage all day. I'll be popping on there for a little while as well. Help Chris out get through the long day that is the trade deadline day. So would you like a Jack Hughes update before we finish? Yeah, sure. Why not? All right. So Gabe Trevino, who covers the Devils for NJ.com, just tweeted a few minutes ago that he flew back to New Jersey to be evaluated by team doctors per source. Quote, I'm told it may not be as severe as some are expecting. That is that's good news to wrap the show. And if he's got to miss a month or something like that, whatever. It's at this LTIR, point, baby. We'll see you in game 1 against the Carolina Hurricanes. Like right now with the way the Capitals are playing, it's not to say the division's gone, but right now it's just trying to be the 2 or the 3, and I think in the Metro for them. So we'll say, well, plenty more to come on that with Jack Hughes and his.
I'm
injury.
back, baby. Let's go.
Jared's feeling good to close the show. So are we. We're at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts. Back with you next Monday. We'll recap the trade deadline with an all hockey edition here of Rip N Riff. Thanks for watching, folks. Back with you again next Monday, post trade deadline.